Hi, my name is Jeff from Mental Health Resource.
And I am Keta with StraitJacket Podcast. And today I have the honor of introducing our guest, Breezy. Breezy has multiple years of recovery, 9 to be exact, correct? Yep, 9.5, I think I read. And also is just kind of a badass in the community. She has a podcast. She owns Taste Recovery. And then also you do something really cool called Camp Soberfest. Tell us a little bit about Camp Soberfest.
Yeah, of course. So Camp Soberfest is my favorite thing in the entire world. I was going through a really, really gnarly breakup. My ex-boyfriend, he was squatting in our house. I had kicked him out and he wouldn't leave. He was shooting fentanyl. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go stay with my mom.
Yeah.
And she was my closest family member in the area. And I remember just being so miserable in that relationship or in that period of time specifically. And I called my dad and I was like, at that point, I was the only employee at Taste Recovery. And I was like, I need to be around people. I have to get myself out of this. This is so bad for me. And so it was I started Camp Soberfest out of a selfish reason of I need
community,
more people in my life. Yeah. And he was like, well, what do you love to do? And I was like, well, I love to be outside and I love to be around people. And I really enjoy giving back. And all of a sudden it clicked. When I was a year and a half sober, I was going on a road trip with a girlfriend and we passed this big camp and she was telling me that she used to go to a young people's retreat for sober people.
YPA?
Something like
that. Yeah.
And she was like, it was the funnest thing ever, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, why don't I do that? And I planned it. I was way too ambitious, but I was like, I started calling all of these camps and I was like, when do you have availability? Blah, blah. And they were like, October 15th. And I was like, okay, 2 months away. And I was like, cool. I'll plan a retreat in 2 months and sell all these tickets. I was delusional. But we sold 130 tickets.
That's a lot of tickets for your first venture.
And we've never even, that's pretty much where we stay every year.
Yeah.
And so within, I planned the whole thing in 2 months. And my first day was crazy chaotic. I didn't have a committee. I did it all by myself. And then the next morning I was walking and I called my dad and I just started crying. And I was like, this was what I was supposed to do with my life. It was the coolest spiritual experience. And now, 3.5 years later, that ex-boyfriend, he actually just passed away in a car accident right down the road from here due to his addiction. And so this camp is going to be very emotional, but special, I started that because of him and now he didn't get to make it, but because of him, we get to kind of help all these other people that
you're honoring a life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you go into a little bit more detail about, I guess, the events that happen at the camp? Because I'm sure there's groups, right? And it's there's recovery activities. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we start off the camp with some sort of icebreaker. The very first year we did duck around and find out. I
love that.
And we had a little rubber ducky and you introduced yourself because, everyone's strangers at this point. And it was the very first year. You introduce yourself and you tell a story about some crazy thing you did during your addiction. And it was absolutely hilarious. Everything revolved around pooping, blood, some insane moment. And immediately everyone was like, okay.
Because you're vulnerable.
Yeah, these are my people. We're all just as fucked up as each other.
Exactly.
And it was really cool. And then, so we do high ropes. We have a rock climbing wall. Our new location, as of last year, we are on a private lake. And so you get to go kayaking, paddleboarding. They have little canoes. And then we do breath work. We do yoga. We have AA meetings every morning. We do speaker bonfire meetings every night. We have a talent show, which anyone can sign up for once they get to camp. We do karaoke, anything that reconnects you with that childlike version of yourself. And it's so weird. Like, a lot of people come to camp and they're like, I've been to retreats before, but this is so different. And it really is. Like, there's just, it's more rugged than a lot of like the AA retreats. And so we don't get like maybe that pretentious type of
Posh.
like
Polish
type of people. Yeah, like everyone there is just like, hey, I'm coming because I really want to like connect with other people that are just like me.
So it's authentic.
And have a spiritual experience. And we had this one gay Black man show up this past year. First time. I think he knew like one person. And I will literally never forget this. He was in the lake and he just started crying and he was like, I've been to so many gay male retreats and I've never felt this accepted. I've never felt this included in my entire life. And I feel like this is healing like all of that part of me that so badly wanted like straight men to accept me. Like all these straight men that show up like are welcoming him in and letting him braid their hair. And, you know, it's just, I don't know what happened. I don't know. All I know is like something God came in and you know, so I'm like so protective now over who comes because I'm just like, it's so perfect the way it is. And we're there for 5 days this year because everyone just keeps asking for more days.
Yeah.
And now when it first started, Sunday morning would roll around and everyone would be out before breakfast. Like no one wanted to say bye to anyone. They were exhausted. It's like time to go. Now it's like everyone shows up to breakfast. Everyone's crying, saying goodbye to each other, like getting everyone's information.
True, real connection.
Yeah. And then it follows throughout the rest of the year. It's like we all keep in contact. We all are like ready for the next year. And what else can we do together? And how do we stay connected? And
I think one thing that like that sparks within me is when I accept you, I accept myself. Right. And so that's what you've provided is a community of people who will accept you and they accept themselves in return. It's this even exchange that happens. And it's like such a really beautiful thing that most people don't get to experience. Yeah. You know, like addicts and alcoholics, like we have a few areas of life which are not pleasant, you know, but we also have areas of life that are so astoundingly beautiful that only we get to experience because of our unique experience. And that's one of them.
Absolutely. I was just leading a meeting the other night and I said, I am so grateful to be an alcoholic. Like I wouldn't have it any other way. My life today is a million times better than I could have ever dreamed of. Like even though, you know, all of the loss I've experienced, all of the hardships, whatever, like the peace and serenity that I feel when I'm just sitting with another alcoholic and like being able to relate to someone on such a deep level. I was a complete shell of a human being before I got here. Like I had no emotions. I had no idea how to connect. Everything was like, I can't wait to talk. Like I'm listening to somebody.
So you will shut up.
Yeah, like I'm not even listening to you. I'm just thinking about myself and what I can say and make myself look good. Like I had no idea how to connect with another person. So,
yeah. Well, tell me,
what's your next plans for the retreat?
So it's this year, August 20th to the 24th, Wednesday to Sunday, and yeah, I mean, it's nothing's changed. Like we'll do different breakout groups and stuff like that, but everything's the same format essentially. We just added an extra day. We still are going to do like our little Olympic games and yeah, it's fun.
Would it be okay if we included a link to your website and stuff? So if you're listening or you're watching, in the description of this video will be a link to Camp Sober Fest, so you can check it out for yourself if you are willing to travel to the Southern California area or you're within the Southern California area.
Yeah.
And
it's actually more like mid-California.
Where is it located?
Sequoia.
Okay.
Sequoia National
Oh,
Forest.
I love Sequoia so much.
Yeah,
It's
it's about a 5-hour drive from here in
the
Orange
wisdom of the trees there.
Yes,
You
yeah.
feel so
Yeah.
alive, like vibrating.
It is,
when
and
you're
I
there.
honestly, I think that's what it is. I think once we change locations, like you can just feel God everywhere.
It's sacred.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And we have like a waterfall hike that we have on property, and the biggest, I think it's the biggest oak tree in all of California is like 30 minutes away, like walking. So everyone goes and visits it, and yeah, it's really cool.
That's dope.
Yeah.
When you say you were a shell of yourself, that's in your active addiction. Tell me a little bit about, the breaking point that you got to. Like, how different is your life today from when you were in active addiction?
So, yeah, my dad likes to say, you kind of stop growing emotionally when you started drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I started drinking, I think, at like 12 and a half, 13. And so like emotionally, I was just this 13-year-old running around and even then, like, I don't even feel like I was a 13-year-old, like I felt like I was like a little child.
Stunted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I went through a few sexual assaults that like just further ingrained in me, like I'm worthless, I'm a piece of shit, all of the things. And I just want to die, And so that was like really the breaking point, was like that final one. It happened a few months before I got sober, and it happened like 3 months before I got sober, I think. And every single weekend, it felt like I was like writing suicide notes for my family just in case I finally got the courage to do it. And yeah, like it was, there was nothing else besides alcohol. I didn't have any friends at that point. And if I did, it was, I was just taking, and yeah, I like to think that everything now is just the way you look at things in perspective. And I'm so grateful that happened to me, because I don't think I would have gotten sober otherwise. Like, it probably would have taken me a really long time. Like, it really expedited the psychosis and the real insanity of my mental health.
Yeah.
And for me to look at the fact that drinking was my only solution.
Yeah.
Where is it that you're originally from?
Palm Desert.
Palm Desert. Oh, so
Yeah.
you're from California.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny that, and I've heard a lot of stories, and that it's going to the brink of wanting to die is the thing that makes you want to live. You're right on the cusp, right on the edge, and like some spark of light comes through that makes you want to live. Would you call that your higher power? Would you?
I feel like if you, at least for me, when I was in that place and I didn't kill myself, it was like this realization, like, okay, I had every opportunity in that moment. That was the first time so I was trying to jump over a freeway pass, and one of my childhood friends, actually, she stopped me. She got me back home, and I had pills in my house, and I told her that I was going to take them. And she was like, okay, well, me and my boyfriend are going to leave. And I was like, oh, fuck. And it was in that moment that I had every opportunity to do it if I really, really wanted to.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I was honest with someone. Like, if anything, I had more incentive to do it right then, because now I have an excuse. Like, I told her I was going to kill myself, and she
Now
left.
it's your fault.
Yeah, and she left me. So now I'm going to do it, and it's going to be all on you, and you're going to have to hold that for the rest of your life, And so when I woke up that morning, it was like, I didn't do it. I was honest. That feels terrible, but like, it was the first time I was honest. So I don't know if it was necessarily my higher power. I think it was just the first time I was able to fully surrender, even if it was just a little bit, that I was like, I am willing to live, even if it's just like, I'll figure this out tomorrow. I can kill myself tomorrow, but like tonight, I'm not going to do it. And I think a lot of it was like, I wanted to get help, but I also was like, how am I surrounding myself with people? Like, there was so much resentment that like pushed me into actually getting help. I was so resentful of that situation. Like, I finally tell someone I'm so miserable and I want to die, and yet they don't seemingly care. And it was like, I truly believe it was a perfect storm. And of course it's God.
Yeah.
God sets all of these things up perfectly in perfect God's timing to make sure that I am where I am today.
It's all aligned.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's always so interesting when, because when you're in a suicidal moment, you're in the deepest, darkest place, you tell this person who you love, obviously, that after one attempt of jumping over a freeway, you were jumping into a freeway, right?
I was trying to. I was climbing up the fence.
And she saved your life once.
Yeah.
And then after that, you tell her again that you're going to, go. And your reason for wanting to take yourself out at that point or doing it would be to put the blame on her. And that's so common. And I truly believe that it's because we want somebody to feel the pain that we're feeling that makes us want to take ourselves out.
Yeah.
Like, if you could just feel this for one moment, feel how I feel, then you would understand.
Yeah.
And it's like that transference of that pain.
Yeah. Hurt people. Hurt people.
But then it's also the thing that made you go, whoa, because nobody can take you out. Nobody can save you.
Yep.
It's all going to fall on you at the end of the day, and whatever spiritual, preference you have, to rely on that. But that's that lesson that was taught in that moment,
So very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
That's incredibly
I never thought about it like that. Like, I genuinely did want her to be like, oh, this is my fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, not all of the years of trauma that I had already suffered. Like, it was you.
Because it culminated to that moment.
Yeah.
Like, in this moment, you're who I can blame with all of this. You get to hold all of this now. I'm going to take off, and now you get to carry all this weight that I've been carrying, and I get to pass the buck.
Yeah.
And
how often does that happen?
it's a common trope.
Especially in our world.
Yeah.
And even like with addiction and overdoses, it's like, well, not me anymore. I get to go.
Yeah.
Whether it's, accidental or not.
Yeah. And there's a lot of accidental, but it's like, we know our limits as addicts. You know what I mean? Like, I always knew my limits. I think there was a time that I went a little bit above my limit on purpose,
Yeah.
and I lived.
Yeah. My first so I've only ever been in 2 relationships, and they're both dead. The first one, he died from an overdose, and he used to say, I overdose at least once a week so I can keep myself on my toes.
What? Did he tell you that? Well, that was a red flag, girl.
Well, no,
I gotta call you. Okay, I'm like, if anybody tells you that, you walk away next time.
It was on our alumni page. So we went to treatment together.
Oh, okay.
It was on our alumni page. You commented on something, and I was like, oh my God, that was.
This is after you broke up?
Yeah, we were no longer together.
Okay.
He was just like consistently seeking attention.
Yeah.
But it was like, seeing that, I was just like, wow, there's got to be some truth to it.
Yeah, that cry for help. Please understand how much pain I'm in.
Yeah.
I'll show you by destroying myself.
Yep.
And that's what addicts do.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that something, though?
Yeah. Which is why it's so incredibly important that we have to give back and be of service. And I was just reading with one of my sponsees the other night, and it was like, I forget which part we were in the book, but the wording is so perfect, and it so clearly states like, you have to do this in order to stay alive yourself. And it's so funny because it tells us how selfish we are. But then the wording, it's like, it still brings it back to a selfish reason.
Mm-hmm.
So
they know their audience.
Us. I know.
They know their audience.
Jesus, like, this whole book is just manipulating us into being like, you just have to be of service. But it's because you're selfish and you have to stay alive.
But I believe they had to be so concise because
I know.
we're so manipulative
I
when we're
know.
in our addiction that it's like we will twist anything to find the way out.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious.
They had to be very careful with how they wrote that book. So it's definitely served its purpose for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I know. I love it.
So can you explain a little bit more about taste recovery?
Yeah. So I started Taste in 2020. I launched it during the pandemic.
Okay.
I started it in 2019, but we actually launched it in 2020. I went to so I went to treatment in Florida. I kind of knew enough. I'd already been to treatment once before. I knew enough to know that if I didn't change everything, including my surroundings, like I probably wasn't going to stay sober. So I flew all the way to Florida and I stayed 89 days. Actually left treatment February 5th, which was my ex's birthday. He was already out and I was like, I got to get out so we can spend his birthday together. Lo and behold, he was already using at that point and we did not see each other. But it's funny now.
It's funny now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. It was crazy then, but now it's funny. And so I end up at a sober living in St. Pete, about an hour away from our treatment center. And the owner was a male who lived in New York. And he didn't live in Florida. He had several house managers, which like to this day, I don't really see that often. We had 3 house managers. And the one who actually lived on property was using. And he would come down and he would take us all out to dinner and he would take pictures with us. And he lived on property when he would come down. And
Is this an all-girls place?
Yes. And I would see
I like it.
I would see some of the girls coming in and out of his room, which one of the girls actually has since died. Yeah, no, it was really bad. There's a reason, you don't like it. No, it was bad.
You made my soul curdle.
Yeah.
Like, I was like,
and back then it was like, oh, this is cool. Like he's taking us out and he's paying for everything. And, we're his girls. And, when you're newly sober, you're the most vulnerable population.
Absolutely. It's an abuse of power.
Absolutely. And I didn't know that, and I was believing it and, all the things. And, but it got to a point where a lot of the women in the house were relapsing because our house manager was getting loaded and everyone's like, well, she's getting, and it was so obvious.
Yeah.
Like, well, if she's getting loaded, then like, we're going to go out too. And like, you're not going to kick us out because if you try to kick me out,
Hell on you.
Hell on you. And so, it was a very chaotic situation. I was one of the only sober people there and I ended up getting kicked out because I wanted to tell on the people. And so I started Taste Recovery at first as a sober living platform. It was an iOS app. And I started it because of that experience. Like I wanted and I say this like it is funny, but I started it out as a resentment. I wanted to expose this sober living. I wanted to expose this man.
Fueled by spite.
Oh, yeah. And I was
Absolutely.
like, I'm going to make sure everyone knows that this dude is a piece of shit.
Hell hath no fury.
Yeah. Amen. And so I started it and all of a sudden, like, God comes into it and like I don't even care about who he is or what he's doing. Like I realize that I get to like help so many people through this platform. And then I find out through the grapevine that he ends up getting shut down anyways. And so after about 6 months and seeing the growth of the platform, I was like, okay, that was like kind of like our beta testing. And so we then created a website and an Android app for it. And I did that for probably like 3.5 years of just sober living. And I was so hell-bent on like, I just wanted to be sober living. Like to me, sober living is where the magic happens. Because after that sober living, I ended up flying back to California And I got into a different sober living with a woman owner who was phenomenal. And I ended up staying until I was like 13 months sober. And it like changed my life. And I saw all of these women grow. And I saw how when you have a safe environment, people can stay sober. Whereas, you know, this very unsafe environment, people were relapsing left and right. And it was chaos. And, you know, and you basically just throw us right back into our addictive patterns, just taking away the drugs and alcohol. And so I was like so hell-bent on keeping it just sober living because I was like, no, this is where the magic happens. I want people to, but God had other plans. And then we launched All Levels of Recovery on the platform in November. And it's been so cool. It is so different, such a different world. Like I never worked in treatment before I started this. It, like I said, like it just started on a resentment. And now I'm learning so much about the treatment world. It's crazy.
For our listeners, can you let us know what Taste Recovery does?
Yeah. So essentially it's similar to Yelp for treatment. Mixed in with a little bit of Airbnb. And then when I say that, people automatically think, oh, I can like book a treatment center through the platform. No, that's not the case. It's, you can go on, you can connect, you know, you can get as much information about the treatment center as you possibly could need. We have all of these filters to make it really easy if you're, you know, struggling with anxiety or suicidal ideation or whatever it may be. The filtering helps you find treatment that is best suited for you. We also have what insurance they take in network, which insurance is always the biggest reason why people can't find treatment.
Exactly.
And that window of wanting help is so small that
it's a snap.
Yes. And so Taste Recovery is, you know, it's always on their phone as an app. That moment that they're feeling desperate, they can open the app and start looking for treatment and hopefully get in touch with somebody right away and get into a place, you know. And people ask me too, well, do you vet these places? And the sober living home that I went to was a certified sober living home. And so I'm like, that to me, you know, one person will come in once a year to go certify the home or whatever it is. Sometimes it's just paperwork. If people are wanting to do shady shit, they're going to figure out a way to do shady shit and get around rules. Certifications don't necessarily mean anything.
Yeah.
But we did a lot of coding to where you can only leave one review for a facility. Because back in the day, other listing sites, they would just bombard their facility with 5-star reviews, 5-star reviews, 5-star reviews. And lo and behold, they're, you know, body brokering and doing X, Y, and Z. So we implemented a lot of things into the platform to make sure that people are getting
against those things.
To make sure that what you're seeing on our platform is real. And then we also have, when facilities are signing their facility up, because we don't do anything, they do everything, so all the information that you're seeing on there is directly from the actual facility.
So you're the middleman.
Like we just created the platform. Like, you guys go do it. Like, we don't want to misrepresent anybody. And so there's also a section at the end when they're filling it out, it'll say recommend facilities, and so they can look on our platform and see what facilities are on our platform. And if they know another facility in the area that's doing really good work, they can highlight that facility on their page.
Very cool.
And to me, that's like our way of trying to really connect the industry. If you're in it, you know the facilities that are doing good work and you know the facilities that are really shady. And people don't want to, you know, step on anyone's toes, but it's all like, oh, don't send anyone there, but it's all quiet.
And so, it needs to be loud.
It does.
People are dying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, just promoting the people that are doing the right thing, like focusing on the positive. And it's like, if you can't come to us, at least go to one of these places. We know they're doing the right thing. So that's like one of my absolute favorite features of Taste Recovery, because I think that is so incredibly important, to just make sure that you're shining light on the people who deserve to be, that are really doing the work, you know.
How beautiful is it that you turned your problem into everybody else's solution?
Yeah.
You know, like that's how we're gifted these ideas, is through the struggles that we're walking through. And like, we can't see why this would be valuable in any way. Like, why would me going to this shitty sober living, wanting to be sober, the guy's probably screwing the girls, getting them high, you know, I'm in the weirdest place ever. Like, I wanted to change my life and do better, and I ended up in the worst place possible to do that. Somehow stayed sober through it, which actually says a lot about you. You know, and then you get to use that spite to create a safety net for the rest of the vulnerable community. And that's how God works.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, like that's evidence of God.
God has taken me through a lot of trials and tribulations. And every single time I find that the more pain I'm in, the more I'm growing, which sucks. I wish it wasn't that case.
It does suck. I always say I don't like his methods, but I like his results.
Yeah. I love that.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, because I'll be walking through something sometimes and I'm like, I know you know what you're doing, but would you let me know what we're doing?
Yeah.
Because I'm confused. Like, I'm very confused. I'm just supposed to walk blindly sometimes, but I always end up in a place that serves me and my community the highest.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, and that's
you
the
just have to
goal, right?
trust.
You have to trust it. I think that's where people
Veer off.
yeah,
Yeah.
where they get it wrong. And I'll have to say wrong, subjective, wrong, and the human experience is they're wrong.
Right.
But the lack of their success or blossoming or walking into their true path, finding their purpose, is on the other side of that blind faith.
Yeah.
And just like following that still voice inside that says, go this way. And you're like, that makes no sense whatsoever, but I'm going to trust it.
Yeah.
Question mark?
Question mark.
Like always
Big
question mark?
question mark. Yeah.
And then you get to the clearing, you know, and you're like, whoa, this is so cool. You know?
Yeah.
It sounds like you've been a busy girl. Like, I love a tenacious girl. I just do. I love it. Would you say purpose has been your drive?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I feel so lucky and blessed to be where I am. And, you know, losing the only two people I've ever been in love with, and like genuinely feeling so much peace inside. I never in a million years would have imagined that. Especially with this last one, I was like, if he dies, like, I'm fucking out. And like, that's not what happened. That whenever I open my mouth, like, I can't help but give God all of the credit, because like, I didn't have anyone to do any of this with before, you know? And so like, now I go home and I hit my knees and I pray every single night. And like, I have this crazy connection to God. And like, that's my job now, is to go out and like share about it.
It's evident in you, by the way. Like there's something that people who are connected, very connected, they have like an internal light, and you definitely have that beaming like light about you. So whenever I see it, I like to acknowledge it, because I know that when people see that in me, it lets me know that I'm on the right path, and that's the representation, you know? And I'm like, you know, it's like that. It does feel good. Yeah. What do you have to say? What does 9 years sober you have to say to 9 days sober you?
Oh man. 9 days sober me, I was full of fear, full of delusion, and so much entitlement. And I was so just, I love you. You're going to get through this. And like, it's going to have to get really hard for you to finally break your walls down. And for that person that's not me at 9 days sober, you don't have to let it get so hard. Like,
Ooh, that's
you don't
good.
have to let it get so hard to finally just do the right thing. Like, if someone's suggesting to go home and hit your knees and pray, just do it. Like, don't wait until you're literally on the brink of, I'm either going to get loaded, kill myself, or, you know, what other crazy option there is, or just do what people are asking you to do. Like, you can just do it now. You don't have to be miserable.
You don't have to wait till it's the last option.
Which that's what I did.
That's what most people do.
I know.
You're not the anomaly.
Motivated by pain.
Yeah, but it is
Yeah.
the greatest motivator ever, because discomfort, is we can't sit in it. So we have to move. And what are we moving towards? We're moving towards a solution to be in less pain. And typically that's a positive venture, So, and then I think also what I find is people that are kind of tenacious in business and things like that is they need somewhere to put it. They need somewhere to put all that excess energy, all of that, and they get to put it somewhere. And that's why it ends up blossoming the way that it does. You know what I mean? Because otherwise you have to sit with it.
Yeah.
And then what does it do?
Yeah. Who knows what happens? I have not let myself sit with it.
Right.
Just started a podcast.
Just
Why not
start
just
a
do
podcast?
another
Do
thing?
it all. Why not? Let me take it all on. If I'm busy, I can't feel anything.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as long as it seems like behind everything that you're doing is so service oriented.
Yeah.
So not only does it serve you, but it serves the world. And when it serves the world, it serves you.
Yeah.
Like it's covered and protected by God. Because it's his.
Yeah.
It's his little bubble.
Yeah.
So Breezy's in here and like whatever she's doing when it serves the world,
Love that.
Yeah. It's a really beautiful thing because
Thank you.
I think we like selfish ventures. Like we all want money, cars, fame, notoriety and all those things. But,
Nice.
like we want to know that we're good enough.
Yeah.
We want love, but the only thing that's ever gotten me more love was loving.
Ooh.
The only thing that's ever gotten me more grace was giving it. The only thing that's ever gotten me anything I've ever wanted was giving it away.
Yeah.
And that's something you get to do through everything that you do. So what a life to live.
It's beautiful.
Are you proud of yourself?
I'm so proud of myself. People ask me all that because I'm turning 34 in 19 days now. And they're just like, aren't you tired of being alone? Like, don't you want to be with someone? I'm like, I love my life.
Yeah.
When I hit my head at night, I am so grateful. I'm so proud of myself. Like, I've been doing this new thing too, where I like sit and I'm in front of a mirror and I just tell myself that, like,
Yeah,
so proud of you. You're fucking crushing it. Like, that 9 day sober girl would never in a million years believe you feel this way internally about yourself. Like, who gives a fuck about all the external stuff?
She didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, the external stuff doesn't matter.
Right.
But I never in a million years would have thought I could like look at oncoming traffic and not just automatically be like, should I jump in front of a car right now? Like, should I do that? Is it the right time? Maybe not. Like,
It's off the table.
That way, yeah.
It's off the
That's
table.
crazy. That's crazy to me,
Absolutely.
And I love giving back. I love being able to go and do step work with sponsees. And, the fact that I have women call me today with their problems and I get to direct them to God and just like help people,
See, but you just said something that's really powerful. I get to direct them to God because I think people misunderstand the sponsee-sponsor relationship where it's like you direct me to what you think is best. But no, it's just it's a rerouting to God. Like that's to be in higher service.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that.
So on our podcast, we focus a lot on people's first year of recovery because like we all know how we drink and it's easy to do that and whatever, but it's really hard to get through that first year.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been having a lot of conversations about sponsorship and like how people if they are not really connected, they become God in sponsorship.
Boom.
And it gets real scary.
Mm-hmm.
Real scary.
Yep.
And it does a lot. I think it does more damage than anything.
It does harm.
Yeah, it does a lot of harm. And
can you plug your podcast?
yeah, it's called Sober Disclosure. It's me and one of my best friends, Jimmy. We do it at his hair salon. It's definitely nowhere near as official as this place, but
hey, the best bands in the world started in a garage.
Yes,
you know what I mean? But like that just shows, you don't have to have all the conditions perfect to start something.
yeah,
like
absolutely.
you can make a podcast in a hair salon.
Yeah.
All it takes, I think people wait for that moment where everything's going to come together and be perfect. And like, no, you make the conditions perfect. You just look at what you got and you use it.
Yep.
And
true.
that's the difference between a successful person and an unsuccessful person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Waiting for the conditions to be right or making the conditions right.
Yeah. He was like, I've been wanting to do this for so long. And I thought, well, I think I have to ask Breezy to be my co-host because she just gets shit done. Like if you're,
Isn't it cool to be that friend though?
Yeah,
Like
no,
they know that about you.
I'm like, cool, yeah, let's run it. And they're like, what? Right now? And I'm like, yeah, you just said so. Let's go.
Right.
We'll find the time.
People are unprepared for the pace.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get that sometimes
Yeah.
too.
I also think that's just like my being a Gemini, but I don't know. All my other Gemini friends do the exact same thing. So, but
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
Love it.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been an honor to have you on our podcast. Is there anything that you want to plug? Anything you want to run down your socials and all of your tings for us?
Tings. If you're looking for connection and community, please come to Camp Soberfest. It's just a life-changing experience for myself every single year and other people. And if you or a loved one are struggling with mental health or addiction, use Taste Recovery to find a facility. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. And then the link to Soberfest will be in the description. And also, as always, you can go to mentalhealthresource.com, fill out our form, and get any support that you may need, whether that be with addiction recovery or mental health resources as well. It was such an honor to have you on. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much. I love you.
I love you too. We just met and we're in love. You just, all the people I've ever loved, I've loved instantly.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, it's happened instantly. It was just like
true.
a snap and
Yeah.
it was done for us. So
Yeah.
I love you too. And that's it for another episode of StraitJacket Podcast. And we'll see you next time.